Thank you to Kenzie Bruce for his incredibly generous support on Patreon. Eloise Nephalia Sleuth versus Shram Senior Edificer, Obnixilis of the Black Oath, and Kolfanor the Last Yew. Decent opening hand for us. Worst case scenario, we can mana drain and get ourselves into Solemn Simulacrum off the back of that. But hopefully we'll get into mana in the early game. And we do draw a Talisman on turn 1, that's really good. So let's get down the Fabled Passage. This can be a tapped island, ready for that mana drain just in case. And next up, it is Shram Senior Edificer casting an Enlightened Tutor during the main phase. And they fetch up a Sword of Fire and Ice, so no protection from black there, thankfully. We draw into the land we were hoping for, that's really good, so let's throw down the Talisman of Dominance, and we're ready for our Solemn Simulacrum next turn. Sakura Tribelder for the Junk player. And then it is Thespian Stage into a Sol Ring for Obnixilis, so yeah, there's every chance that we see that Planeswalker next turn. Speaking of seeing commanders, there is Shram Senior Edificer coming into play. And another land for us, so getting pretty lucky on the mana front here. I'm going to crack the Marsh Flats for a tap land because I want to hold up the counter magic for that Obnixilis that I'm sure is coming in next turn. Blightmound for Kolfanor, so whenever they lose a non-token creature, it's replaced with a pest. And then swinging in the Sakura Tribelder at Obnixilis. Okay, not seeing Obnixilis here, that is Liliana's Contract, which is another means of winning the game. We're not likely to deal with an enchantment in Dimir either. So yeah, I think we still go for the counterspell here. We still gain 5 mana, and that is a good thing to get rid of, I think. Some ramp from Shram with the Ancient Tomb. They go for Flickering Ward, enchanting their commander. And that does cantrip. And then casting the Sword of Fire and Ice that they showed us previously, also cantripping, so staying at 6 cards in hand. And then turning in sideways towards Kolfanor with their commander. Alright, well the lands keep flowing here. We draw into Urborg. Mana drain triggers on our main phase, so we get 5 free mana from that. Let's use that mana on the Solemn Simulacrum. Just going to grab a basic island with that because we do have Urborg in hand now. And then I think we might as well make the best of our mana, hope that we don't see a board wipe and go for the Eloise. I'll play out the Flooded Strand because I don't want to help my opponents with the Urborg. We do have a couple of black players at the table. And Urborg could help Ancient Tomb as well so that they're not taking as much life. Another enchantment from the Junk player, that is Fecundity. Whenever a creature dies, its controller draws. And after that, they sack the Sakura Tribelder, which makes total sense, so they draw a card, get a Rampant Growth, and a Pest token. Obnixilis gets down an Urborg of his own, so we don't need to worry about playing ours now. And that is Bolas's Citadel, with 39 life. So I'm pretty glad I countered the Liliana's Contract now, because we could be seeing a lot of demons here. Well, there's a really big one off the top, that is Crick Son of Yawgmoth, going down to 32 life, 3 cards in hand. And just leaving it there, so either not wanting to take too much life, or there is a land on top and we got lucky. A 5th land for Shram, and he equips with Ancient Tomb, the Sword of Fire and Ice. So Shram is now pro-black from the Flickering Ward, protection from red and blue as well, and has +2/+2. Then going for Idyllic Tutor to search up an enchantment. And the enchantment they got was Land Tax, so could have been worse than that. Just trying to fix their lands for the rest of the game. Shram turning in sideways towards the black player. They will take a hit of 4 commander damage because they can't block, and the Sword of Fire and Ice will shock Crick. So really good to see the back of that so quickly. We'll feed them a card with Fecundity though. And then through to our turn again, we draw straight into a Sol Ring, so we'll play that out immediately. And then I've been waxing lyrical about Morbid Opportunist ever since it was spoiled, so hopefully I get to show it off here. Let's try and make the Bolas's Citadel a little bit more difficult and turn our commander in sideways towards Obnixilis. The less life they have, the better with that thing. And after that, we'll just hold up the Dictate of Erebos. Cultivate for Kolfanor. And then Obnixilis throwing out a War Room, 3 tap and pay 1 life in this instance to draw a card. They have 4 cards in hand, so it's Feed the Swarm straight off the top with Bolas's Citadel going on to the Flickering Ward. They haven't held up mana for that, so Flickering Ward will go down here. Obnixilis going down to 21. And then hard casting Promise of Power from the hand, so draw 5, lose 5. So 8 cards in hand, going down to 7, that is Expedition Map from the hand as well. So going easy on the Bolas's Citadel there, because they are at 16 life, and just passing the turn over. More fast mana in the shape of Mana Crypt from Shram. They get down at Buried Ruin as well, which they can sacrifice to get an artifact back from graveyard to hand. Throwing down the land tax, which we have already seen. And then Sword of Hearth and Home is pro-green and white, so again not too relevant to us. They don't have anything to flicker with that either. They do equip up their Shram with it though. And then with the last of their mana it is Lightning Greaves, so Shroud and Haste won't be able to equip anything else onto Shram if they're not careful. But they do throw Lightning Greaves onto the Shram. And this time the Shram swings in towards us. Yeah, that's a pretty bad attack, although they obviously haven't seen the Dictate of Erebos coming. We have held that up. We will draw 3 cards from the Solemn as well. One from our own Morbid Opportunist, one from the Solemn trigger, and one from Fecundity. So Dictate of Erebos goes on the stack. And then we'll draw our cards and investigate with Eloise. So everyone forced to sacrifice a creature. That gets rid of Voltron Shram and the Pest token. Each of those players draws with Fecundity as well. We draw into Treasure Vault, so we draw into Treasure Vault. I'll just throw that down, can potentially make some tokens later on with that. And speaking of making tokens, we'll throw down Tevesh Sat, Doom of Fools as well. Plus on the Tevesh Sat to make some Thralls. And then we've just got lands in the hand, so we might as well get down the Bloodghast. There's every chance that that will gain haste if the mono black player goes down any more life. Which they are about to, because we're going to hit them for 4 commander damage with our Eloise. Farhaven Elf for the 3 colour player. And then a Knight of Autumn. That's a shame, so likely see the end of Dictate of Erebos here. Maybe one of the swords though. Oh, that's surprising. They go after our Treasure Vault. Well, we're not holding up any mana, so we might as well make a treasure here. We'll just put 1 into X twice and sacrifice that in response. So that will get us a treasure. Expedition Map being cracked by Obnixilis. And grab themselves the Cabal Coffers, as you would expect. 2 Urborgs in play makes that really good. And then it's one of Liliana's friends, Demon Lord Belzenlock, Flying Trample 6/6. When it enters, exile the top cards of your library until you exile a non-land. Put it into your hand. If its mana CMC is 4 or greater, repeat the process and it deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. Casting Jet Medallion as well. And it doesn't tell us in the reveal zone, unfortunately, but they got a Living Death and a Sudden Spoiling. And they've got a Cabal Stronghold revealed to us as well, so I'm guessing that's what they flipped into with the Belzenlock. Going down to 8 by the way, so Bloodghast does now have haste. Mana Crypt and land tax trigger at the beginning of Shram's turn. Well, and that's a good one. That is a Pure Steel Paladin. They do have the Metal Craft, so they'll be able to have 0 equips. Throwing a Mana Vault into play as well. Then suiting up the Pure Steel Paladin with both of the swords. And then throwing down a Masterwork of Ingenuity. Comes down as a copy of any equipment in play, and they've gone for the Sword of Hearth and Home. Still nothing to flicker, but they can get some ramp going with that. So equipping that to their new creature as well. And then throwing Lightning Greaves on there. So back round to where we started really, and going for Generous Gift onto their own land, curiously. Maybe they wanted to hold back a blocker. Seems like more of a misclick to me than anything else. They might have been trying to click their mana before choosing a target for Generous Gift and they've blown up their own land. One of these annoying Magic Online things. Yeah, so deciding to Shame Scoop to that. Yeah, that is annoying because they were in a pretty good position there, but deciding not to just play through the mistake. Although we have just drawn into March of the Machines, so I actually don't think it matters that they scoop there because I think we're about to win. maybe the black player has some removal for us. So we'll +1 on the Tevesh Sat. I want to sacrifice one of the Thralls. We'll draw with Fecundity and with the Tevesh Sat. And the Morbid Opportunist. Eloise will let us surveil and investigate. Draw into a sack outlet in Carrion Feeder. Bastion of Remembrance will help speed things up as well. And that makes our opponent sacrifice creatures as well. So the Bells Unlock goes down, the Night of Autumn goes down as well. That will give them a Pest token, and Fecundity triggers once again. Alright, and Liliana Dreadhorde General from the Morbid Opportunist. Our Surveil 1 from the token going down reveals a Sengir Autocrat. Speaking of tokens, we'll keep that on top. Drop a land for the turn and we'll go for the combo win here, I think. Throw down Bastion of Remembrance first. And then we'll go straight in for March of the Machines. And there we go, look at all those triggers. So we get the Aristocrat triggers, the Dictate of Erebos triggers. And Eloise will continue to make more clue tokens that come in as 0/0 creatures. And that just goes infinite with March of the Machines. Keep drawing with Fecundity for every creature that dies as well. So I'll keep putting Dictate of Erebos on the stack first, so that we can get the Aristocrat and Eloise triggers resolved before that. If Dictate of Erebos resolves, then it gives our opponents more chance to draw into some kind of answer. So we'll have all this stuff resolved before they get a chance to draw into anything. But effectively what's happening here is March of the Machines is making all of our artifacts into artifact creatures. That includes the tokens. They're 0/0s, so they die straight away. Eloise sees that and makes another clue token, which enters as a 0/0 creature token. And the cycle continues over and over again, so we've got infinite death triggers, infinite aristocrat triggers in this instance, and we win from here unless someone can remove March of the Machines or Eloise, which it doesn't seem as though they can. So our opponent scooped to that, that's fair enough. We were just going through the motions there for a little bit to show them what's going on. Hopefully you all enjoyed this visit to Eloise. I asked you a few weeks ago if you wanted me to make a deck based around this commander, and a lot of you said that you wanted to see it, so trying to squeeze it in here before Crimson Vow starts up at the end of this week. Cannot believe it's straight back into spoiler season again, but there we are. Interest in the previous set will instantly plummet thanks to that. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe. Consider donating on Patreon as well if you are able to. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.